All right, Hollywood, we get it. You've got a thing for pre-existing IP and expanding universes. Looking at you, Marvel. But seriously, do we need Lion King live action? Again, the answer is no. Today, we're going to talk about why studios keep recycling our childhoods, why we keep falling for it, and whether this whole nostalgia-based industry, it feels like now, is genius, just lazy, or an indicator of the risks that studios are willing to take post-COVID, strikes, and during a financial crisis. So, the remakes and reuse of pre-existing IP creates a sense of nostalgia. But what is nostalgia? It's kind of a cute buzzword. Nostalgia is kind of a feeling that comes from when we as people have our dopamine triggered. Dopamine is the happy feeling, the feeling of comfort, the warmth. You know, when you think of your favorite movies, you're like, oh, wasn't that a nice time to be alive? That sort of stuff. Also, what is happening when studios are appealing to our sense of nostalgia, especially if you're like a little bit older with kids, you're like, oh, I love this film. Oh, all of these emotions that I'm feeling. Let me bring my little kid to come to this remake, this 20-year plus sequel of this film that made me feel really good because I want to pass on that to them. If you know what I mean? So, why do some remakes work and why do some completely flop? The answer is kind of in the way our brain registers familiarity. That was a rough one.
It wasn't that hard.
People love familiarity, that comfort feeling, that safe feeling. It's why change is so hard, because you don't want to go out of your comfort zone. When these studios remake these movies, they have to hit the sweet spot of that familiarity that doesn't feel like it's too much of a change or it's uncomfortable compared to what it used to be, but it also needs to be different enough that it's new. There's a really fine line that they've got to walk. And it's tricky, it's nuanced, and it can go sideways really quickly. And like, I'm sure you and myself can think of many remakes that have completely flopped, who have kind of sat in that weird uncanny valley of being like, kind of shit. One of the ones that I think of that don't do it well are Disney remakes, right? The live action movies are the animated ones, like the Cinderellas and the shit. Like the one that is specifically coming to mind, just kind of with like the timing of this video, is the Mufasa movie, generated in the original IP of The Lion King. I think it's done quite well. Worldwide box office, over 350 million, and the budget was 200. So they've already hit budget, right? I think it's a good example of using nostalgia but expanding on it and making it kind of new. So I think that's an example where it's done surprisingly well, despite me not seeing anything online about that movie. So yeah, that distinction between remakes being based solely on nostalgia, and I mean, like, I'll mention one a bit later, but like the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake, where it's shot for shot. Like, that's what I mean by like exact example versus something that's adding to the original story. And the movies that have been based solely on nostalgia, not adding anything to the storyline, are really adding to the divide between original stories being told and just remakes nostalgia. Like, I think the Mufasa's done this quite well. Like, I think it was quite a strategic move, where it is, people love the Lion King franchise. Scar's a cool character. Mufasa is killed by Scar. So for this movie to then be adding onto that universe, being their backstory, I think Mufasa's adopted. They've picked a part of the pre-existing universe that has a fan base that they know that people are going to be intrigued by, which is nostalgia done well. So, How to Train Your Dragon, the live action, is nostalgia done quite fucking poorly.
Da-da-da, we're dead.
I love the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. I literally tattooed on me. That's the Book of Dragons. Love that franchise. From what I've seen online, it is shot for shot. Why? What on earth is added by turning an animated film, which is a dying art, I love to bits, I love animation, to a CGI shot-for-shot remake? From what I've seen, same script, everything. What on earth about that is creative and adding to the cinema, to the studios, to just the film industry?
Nothing.
Bit disappointed, bit frustrated, putting it out there as well. This is not the place for people to sit here and comment about, oh, they changed Astrid to a black actress. Shut up, it's a movie about dragons. I don't tolerate that shit. That shit can go. This is not the place for you to sit here and be racist as fuck. You can't have black Vikings. Shut up. It's a movie about dragons. I don't want to fucking hear it. No, not what we're talking about today. Just wanted to preface it, fuck off. And another one that I think did a really good job is the new Top Gun movie. I think they're referred to as like legacy sequels. sequels where they come out ages after and they do really well. The new Top Gun Maverick movie came out. I think it smashed it. A whole new audience that was never expected. The girls and the gays, like, surprisingly loved that movie. I remember when it was being filmed, this is a little tidbit, I worked at JB Hi-Fi, right? And I worked there during COVID when this movie's production was halted. I reckon I had 2 or 3 grown middle-aged men yell at me on the phone because it shouldn't have been cancelled because COVID doesn't exist. So that's the audience base that I think was expected for this movie. But I think it did a phenomenal job at reaching new audiences. I think it was like one of them was the son of one of the characters from the original movie. Haven't seen both. I'm not rating this movie, just reviewing the zeitgeist around it. It was still heavily reliant on the nostalgia of the first movie and that pre-existing IP. It's really knocked it out of the park, to be honest. Quite surprised about how well that movie did and how it's kind of like a good indicator for what nostalgia could do, but we need to leave it the fuck alone. Now, let's talk about money. What's the elephant in the room, right? Movies based on original IP will generate money, even if it's not a huge amount, like not breaking records. When you have IP that has a pre-existing audience, one that's probably an adult now that can afford to spend money on things. All the kids that grew up watching The Lion King are all adults. Many of them might have their own kids. You know what I mean? A guaranteed cash cow. Easy peasy. People are willing to spend their money on something that they feel is safe. They're like, you know what? At least it's not a brand new movie that I've got no idea what's going on. The other thing is, I don't think studios are stupid. Studios are stupid. We all saw what happened with the strikes. Essentially, they couldn't make movies. Writers were striking, actors were striking. So that put a massive financial burden on the industry. So they're playing it safe. Because of course they're playing it safe. Other flip side to the coin, right? It's what the people are spending. And it's a really big thing online, especially at the moment, especially on TikTok. Everybody's aware we're sitting in a financial crisis. People can't afford to spend money on things. So people are spending their hard-earned cash on things that they feel they're going to get a better return on. The movies are an absolute luxury. There's nothing necessary about going to the movies. So they're competing with streaming services. They're competing with a cost of living crisis. And on top of that, from lots of what I've seen online, people are really keen on like the idea of no spend years. And in the makeup world of TikTok, there's Project Pan, where people are really trying to nip their overconsumption in the butt and really focus on necessities and cut back on their spending, which again affects movies. It means that studios aren't going to take big risks or as many big risks on original productions. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the event cinemas right now. So now showing, we have Sonic the Hedgehog, existing IP. Paddington in Peru, existing IP. Mufasa, existing IP. Nosferatu, that's existing IP, right? I might have to figure that out. This is just like the top screen. Moana 2, existing IP. Sequel, Wicked, existing IP. Better Man, which is the Robbie Williams film. I'm gonna say that's original, even though it's based on him. Gladiator 2, existing IP. A Real Pain looks original. I'm gonna take that down. I'm also not doing a very in-depth look. I'm just front page. Anora looks Once Upon a Time in Indochine. That looks fun. Money, Funny, sure. Again, like, I'm not doing an in-depth analysis. I'm not looking up if this is original or not. Wicked Sing-Along, The Rifle Club, that looks new. Craven the Hunter isn't. I know that. The Last Dance, that looks new. Oh, that looks really good too. Actually, there's some decent like foreign films on this list that I'm quite surprised about. But you catch my drift, right? Even on the front page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 8 that I can see on the front page are existing IP. But also like we're like now leaving the peak bringing movies out to show your kids, right? So as I'm recording this, because this is all that I'm seeing at the cinemas right now, and don't get me wrong, I've heard fantastic things about Sonic 3. Like people are loving Sonic 3. Paddington, I think the first one smashed it. Like people loved that. So I think Paddington people are really enjoying. Like it's being done well, at least for those two. But you know what I mean? Like it's all nostalgia. Which is a real darn shame because I'm kind of fed up with it. I don't know. Tell me, what are your thoughts? What are your theories on this? Like, do you think that there's something that I've completely missed that's really heavily contributing to the reliance on nostalgia to sell us movies, but also like kind of sell us anything? It's a bit sad. As someone who really enjoys the creative industry and original storytelling, just like storytelling in general, narratives, there's also like the famous quote where it's like nothing is original anymore, everything's already been done. There's a difference between nothing will ever truly be original versus literally using pre-existing IP, intellectual property. Sorry, I haven't even said what IP is this whole video. So I know there's a fine line, can't have original stories, like, you know, classic dystopian movies like The Hunger Games and Divergent and all of that are not original because they're all dystopian and have very similar themes and ideas, constructs, probably not the right word to use. You can never get an original dystopian movie that's never been done like any of the others. It's original, but it's not literally The Hunger Games. Suzanne Collins is writing other books, which I think is a bit of a difference there, where like that universe is actively being expanded on by the author, not movies. Like Sonic, a movie's about a video game. I don't know if they're bringing out any more Sonic video games, but you know what I mean?
Sure, totally.
I hope that my point has gotten across. It's sad, it's frustrating. I really like the film industry. Tell me what your thoughts are. What are your favourite nostalgia-based IP re-releases, sequels, spin-offs, and what are your least favourites? I know I'm talking big smack about a movie that hasn't come out yet, How to Train Your Dragon, but from what I'm seeing, I'm already incredibly disappointed and probably will not be going to go see it. Like I saw the trailer, I'm going off on a tangent, but I saw the trailer and he's like, puts his hand up and I was like, fucking seen it already. Like I don't. If you enjoyed this video on my channel, you can watch more like this where I dissect pop cultural things happening online and just kind of around the world through sometimes a psychological nuance. I dropped dopamine in there right at the beginning. Otherwise, sometimes it's just a good yap. And that's all right here on my channel, or you can watch the most recent video that's popping up. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.